Whatever you're feeling is perfect. That's supposed to be happening right now. We've trained ourselves, we're only supposed to be feeling this good thing, and that the bad thing is bad. So I want you to start the process of whatever I'm feeling is exactly right. This has been a big shift that I've been going through for the last 14 years, the understanding that whatever I'm feeling is right. I want you to just take that in. Whatever you're feeling is right. Because if you don't feel that it's right, you're going to be doing something to fix the feeling. But if you just make it that it's right, it can be heard, and quite a bit of the roots of the pain that you're feeling will be alchemized because it's heard. Remember, hearing it heals it. Hearing it heals it. Everything that is painful in your body is just unheard. I want you to take that in. You're not supposed to be holding all this stuff. We left the laws of nature that we came from, and we moved to the laws of the human thing and started going, because I'm a human and have an ego and everything, those are the truth. You can have an ego and you can be a human, but you can still live in this frequency and this expansion and the truth of what you are. This is really, really big what we're doing right now. It's in my opinion, it's the most important thing you could be doing. There's nothing bigger than seeing the lies that your body is carrying. Just seeing them. Everything that hurts is a lie, but still needs to be seen. It's there and it's a fact, but what's under it is the truth. One of the things I asked you yesterday that I want to offer you as a question today too is, what do you think is trying to happen for you? Keep it vague, don't get too specific, but I want you to just open to what could be trying to happen. This also ties to that great question that Michael Beckwith asks, who by the way is in Germany right now. I know, I texted him and he's like, I'm in Germany, I'm sending my love. And I wrote back, well, bonjour. And so, most of you get that I'm kidding. A few are like, does he think bonjour is Germany? If we take a deep breath in and we're present for what's here and we ask this question that Michael Beckwith asked me that has changed my life, it's an underlying question I'm always thinking all of the time. This is the question that changed my life. Michael Beckwith taught this. What's trying to emerge? I want you to picture that. No matter what's going on. Oh my God, we're going through a breakup. What's trying to emerge? Releasing, the letting go. Oh my God, the company fired me. Here's the ego. It goes, what do I do? This is the same frequency. You don't want that frequency. What's trying to emerge? Really check that question out. What's trying to emerge? If a caterpillar is walking on a stick and there's a wall here, the victim caterpillar sees this wall and goes, screw it, I'm going to go the other way. The achiever caterpillar goes, I'm going to go over it, and I'm going to get past it. I'm going to get on the other side no matter what. The what's trying to emerge caterpillar goes, what is trying to emerge? There's something deeper that I truly am, that this thing is showing me that I need to become. So maybe I'll just sit here for 11 days and do nothing. Oh my God, now I'm a butterfly, and this issue is irrelevant. Same thing with you. Oh my God, that challenging circumstance, the anxiety is showing up. I'm losing that thing, someone's sick in my life. There's so many different things. I want you to hear the power of this question. What's trying to emerge? Oh, compassion's trying to emerge. A me that I don't understand is trying to emerge. Freedom is trying to emerge, a new level of love. Do you see how this question would not take you to, I feel off, so I'm going to go get drunk. I feel off, so I'm going to numb it. I feel off, so I want you to just feel the power of what's trying to emerge. Maybe there's a stronger, higher you. There's always higher trying to happen. And anytime anything outside feels off, it's trying to show you you're not at your truest self yet. You're identified still as a pattern that's trying to do what it can to not get hurt in its childhood, even if you're 50. And so there's a higher thing trying to emerge. What's trying to emerge? There's a better, stronger you trying to emerge. The releasing of something, the letting go of codependency, the release of trauma, a more abundant me. I want you to train yourself to start thinking that question very often. What's trying to emerge? So let's say you're feeling off today, I'm feeling scared. Or physical pain. I know someone who texted us today, they're not sure they're coming back because they're feeling back pain. And I was like, oh, just so you know, that would happen. Your back is probably holding a bunch of emotions, and even if you've had physical injuries or accidents or whatever that are causing the back pain, to do this inner work is bringing up something. So the back pain could be louder, or it could show up with a migraine, it could show up with physical pain. So what happens if that's happening, and even if it's excruciating, you're going, what's trying to emerge? Like, what am I about to become? What am I going to not hold on to anymore? Isn't this an exciting question? You can always ask that. What's trying to emerge? A deeper connection to God, a release of where I live, right? So take any challenge that you have right now and ask yourself, what is trying to emerge? What is the butterfly version of me? And then keep that question open. I don't know what the answer is, but I just keep listening. This is a big trick too, to always keep opening the possibility while not grabbing a full-on only one tangible answer. Because what you are isn't definable. What you truly are isn't definable. And we're always looking in the mind for a definable thing. Got it. I'm a parent. Got it. I'm a millionaire. Got it. I'm a victim. Got it. I'm this problem. Got it. I'm this ethnicity. Got it. I'm this age. And we're looking for these egoic, tangible things. But I want to dare you to open to an infinite field that can't answer with words and just little definitions. What am I? Right? In other words, the what am I can be felt, that infinite space can be felt, but I want you to keep opening to, I don't quite know in a small sense, I just know that the things that I can grab onto aren't the truth of what I am. They're little tangible things that I can say, like you could say I'm a mother, or you could say I'm a wife or a husband, you could say I'm whatever. But if we really connect to the real truth of what you are, it's so much more than that. Those are things that you wear. They're clothes you wear. They're little stories that you have. But I want you to join me in just connecting to the field of the infinite, because you're infinite, and that's so much even cooler than everything that you can identify yourself as far as accomplishments or identities or stories or whatever. Can you join me in the connection of this field? What is this? And you can't answer it, but you can feel it, right? Because words were created by humans. Like the small language that I can go into to describe this is so small. And often we try to take the infinite vastness of what we are and shrink it into a small thing. And that's why sometimes I'll do a talk and I'll hear a person say, I'm trying to wrap my mind around that. Don't do that. You're trying to wrap your small history, your 40, 50, 60 years, you're trying to wrap that small thing around the infinite vastness of what you truly are. Isn't that nuts? You're not going to be able to do that. Your mind has a start and an ending. Your soul is infinite, right? Your mind goes, okay, I was born here. There's an ending here. I need to know how it ends. There's some things the mind couldn't handle. Like, people always want to know, how did the world start? Could you just play with this question for a minute? What if it never started? The mind it needs something, right? The mind there's no way it had to start. Okay, well, when it started, what happened before that? Right? Or the mind needs an end to the universe. There must be the universe has a wall that just stops. But if I go, no, it keeps going. And if it has a wall, what's on the other side? It's too infinite for the mind to get. So could you take in the idea that you're not gettable? What you are, we can't get, which is why it's really funny when you start to live in your soul and people start to say, I don't understand you. Right? You can't understand me. I don't understand me. Right? But if you follow this infinite vastness, I'm not wanting to stay in a small realm that you could ever understand me. I'm not here to be understood by someone else's ego. I'm not even here to be understood by my ego. Instead of me trying to wrap the infinite into this small idea of my mind, I'm going to surrender the mind to the infinite vastness. I'm not going to shrink myself into wrapping my mind around the infinite. I am infinite. I want you to just be with that open-ended sentence. I am infinite. I want you to feel the infinite so that you don't lock yourself into, I'm this financial struggle. I'm this challenge. I'm the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I'm my past. I don't want you to do that. There's always an infinite new way trying to form, but it's up to you to connect courageously to the infinite and stop connecting to the small, limited story. Stop connecting to that story. Stop connecting to that story of anything in your past. Even the good things. You can enjoy them like a photo album, but every accomplishment you've ever had, we can't go to it. You can think about it in this now and avoid the now. We can look at a video of it, but I can't go to that time you accomplished something. So why don't we go, even now is even cooler than that. The now is even cooler than every amazing thing that's ever happened to you and every horrible thing that's ever happened to you. So we want to stop processing what we are with the mind. We want to feel what we are. We want to feel the infinite vastness with no idea, with no mental concept. They can come up, but they're all held within the infinite of what you are. And that's partly what's starting to happen if you start the meditation. You know, this is why stay in the room for the 4 days is so big, because we're only going to be talking at this level and bigger for the next 3 days. Imagine that we're talking at this level. This is the morning of day 2, and we're already at this insane infinite space. And it's up to you to catch up to the infinite space with me so that you're not only hearing this from the mind, but you can today hear it from a combination of the mind that still lingers and the heart and the now. Feel this infinite space that you are. It's so awesome. And then the mind goes, I'm not getting anything right away. Yeah, your mind isn't going to get it. This infinite space is like the CEO, and your mind is like a first-day intern trying to make sense out of this thing. And it's not going to get it, but always something's happening. So even when you listen to silence and you think nothing's happening, there's so much happening. So there's what you can consciously see, which is when you have like a breakthrough when you're listening to silence. You'll be like, oh, I just realized this, or I see this thing. But I want you to know also unconsciously, way more is happening. And this is a hard thing to do, but you're going to tap into the unconscious space too. What do I mean by that? I mean, just know without knowing the specifics. A lot is happening that you don't understand. And I want to offer you the possibility of processing things now from the unconscious, meaning like a ton is happening, I don't understand what it is. And surrender your need to understand everything. Could you surrender your understander and move into your knower? I don't know what the specifics are, but I know more amazing is happening. I don't know what the specifics are, but I know light is happening. I know for sure we live in a positive, polarized universe because time heals all wounds. If we were in a negative universe, time would make things worse. Right? But if it's just a fact that in time heals all wounds, then what we have is a universe that is taking us to a higher and higher frequency. And you can just tell from how things were 100 years ago versus now, that right now, things are moving faster. There are awakenings happening. We are filling theaters here with awakened people that are awakening right now. And if I did this in the 1920s, there'd be no one here. I'd just be killed, like just instantly. Stop it, witch, you know. But instead, it's just we're becoming this normal thing where there is an awakening happening. There's a lot happening. There's freedom happening. There's truth happening. They can't pull off things as much as they could a long time ago because we're awakening to any external agenda of control. And we're moving into what David Hawkins would say is this higher frequency as far as the Hawkins scale is concerned. He wrote his books, he has this Hawkins scale. This is a fascinating thing, that as we go up in frequency, we move to a field where it's harder and harder to pull off controlling things, world wars, and different things. I know there's a lot of talk about World War III, but I noticed it hasn't happened yet. And I think that's because there's an awakening happening where there's a lot of people that aren't behind it. not okay with it. It's like we're starting to go, this is your guys' war. We're not involved with this. So things aren't backed as much, and there's an awakening happening. And it's our job to keep awakening and not get caught in us versus them mentality, because they're us. The other side, whoever you think of as your enemy is you too, the band. And so if you really take that in, whoever you are against is Bono and The Edge, right? So, but that is you. Whoever you're mad at is you. Whoever you're against is you. Whoever you see as your enemy is you. That's one of the reasons I love doing these talks with some other amazing speakers this week, because I want them to know how much I love them and how abundant I am that they're in my life. This is not a competition. I need people that I collaborate with, people like Kim and Aaron and Lori. These are people I'm here to collaborate with. There's no one that I'm against. There's no one that I'm in competition with. There's no one that I want to beat. Anyone that you want down is you keeping yourself down. Do you feel that? If you're too triggered, and sometimes I have a hard time living this too. There's people I feel that tried to hurt me in the past, and there's all kinds of stuff, but I have a me that goes, it's hard to say sometimes, but it's freeing to go, I want success for them. I want them to be free. I want them to be infinite. I want to, we're all in this, and there's a freedom and there's a power, and God can get to me more when I want abundance for everyone else. I want you to think that. I want abundance for the other political side. I want abundance for the rest of the world. I want abundance for other countries that we were told to be against. I want abundance for the other genders that we're supposed to be against. I want abundance for the other financial situation we're supposed to be against. Do you feel how much we've been taught to be against something so we don't tap into, because there's nothing scarier to anyone that wants to control over you than you free, because there's no fear. And if there's no fear, there's no control. And we're moving to a frequency where control inside of us and outside of us is dying. It won't work. This is why what you're seeing when people come up on stage is the final aspects of their control is collapsing. The final aspects of anything they want to have control of is collapsing right now. And that's what's going on for you. Any freak out in you is remaining control, losing its grip, because we're moving into a frequency that Hawkins would talk about too, the end of control and the beginning of surrender. And anything you surrender, God will come in and take over. And I have seen way too many times when someone releases control of an issue that it heals itself almost instantly. I will never forget a one-on-one I had where a woman said she hadn't talked to her mom in something like 13 years. We worked together. We got to a frequency where she cried it out. She was over it. She really was finally free, saw that it's good she's not talking to her mom, and during the call, her mom called her. I've seen it so many times where I start to see the thing that you have that you're worried about will have to either happen or you will release it, and then the magical solution will happen. But whatever you're holding, you're saying God doesn't take care of. Whatever you're holding, you're saying this is for my ego to deal with. And that's the control that's freaking out. That's the control that says, I got to worry about what other people think. That's the control that says, I'm nothing if the other people don't like me. That's control that's trying to control other people's opinions. Imagine surrendering other people's opinions. Imagine surrendering your parents' opinions, your partner's opinions. It doesn't mean we won't be collaborative. It doesn't mean we won't bring it in. But there is an aspect of fear that we just don't need anymore, that's here to control what people think so it can manipulate a circumstance. And instead, we work harder and harder on surrendering that. It's been a thing I've been through for years lately, of having to surrender, because life is going, if you want to go up, I'm going to heal all of your caring what people think or do, and I'm going to put you on a frequency, Kyle, that is insane. But it's going, you got to say you're in, and I'm like, I'm in. And so all kinds of stuff has happened to me in the last 10 years in different ways, and all of me is going, what's trying to emerge? Always, what's trying to emerge? And no matter how hard I feel attacked or hit or hurt or off or scared or anxiety or whatever, there's a knowing that's just like, what's trying to emerge? What is trying to birth here? What's trying to birth for me? And I'm always asking that question. And I've had insane anxiety attacks and been like shaking and scared and triggered and asking the highest what's trying to emerge while freaking out, while being insanely off, but having that just 1% knowing. What's trying to emerge? What's trying to emerge? That's Michael Beckwith's, my favorite thing that I've ever learned in spirituality, and I want to ask you that. What's trying to, without knowing too many specifics, it could be just some vague things, it could be new possibilities. I would love to hear from you guys. What's trying to emerge for you in any situation you're in? Feel free to just raise your hand, and when I call you, you don't need a microphone, you just scream it out. Right here, yes, ma'am. That I'm safe, so check that out. The truth that she's safe is trying to emerge, and it might be trying to emerge through fear, right? So back here, white shirt, raising your hand, yeah. I'm worthy of receiving unconditionally. Is that Maria? I just see your silhouette, but I can tell it's you. Hi, Maria. That's awesome. Yes. Yes, right here. Did you hear that? My higher self is trying to emerge all the time so it can show me how actually free I am. Like the ego doesn't like that. It goes, we are not free because I don't have a job if you're free. The ego is like a security guard going, I need to work, so we have to have a problem, right? The ego is looking for the problem. Do you have the courage to grab the higher and let go of the problem? Maybe you don't have a problem, you're just addicted to it. Isn't that crazy, right? Over here, I saw a hand up, yeah? Abundance is trying to emerge, and right behind her, being comfortable, looking at myself and being myself. I love that. Yeah, right here. Did you hear that? That's a factual sentence. I don't know. I don't remember it. But anyway, no. my past doesn't define me, and what? My past doesn't define me, and I don't have to know what. Boy, let's just take that in, because that is a fact. I want you to see how you're all starting to realize certain things. We're moving to new frequencies already, right? I don't have to know what it looks like. That is a very egoic construct that we've gotten used to, that if you don't know what the future looks like, you're in trouble. But the real you would never know what the future looks like. The real you, like, why do we need to know what everything is versus enjoying it? You know, that's like the mentality of understanding how a roller coaster was built before you're going on it and needing to know every twist and turn first. Or being like, I'm going to watch a movie, but I need to know the entire story of the movie and what happens and how it ends before I watch it. Well, the joy of the movie is the surprise, right? So why do we need to know this thing? This is a very egoic construct that we have actually acclimated to as the truth. Yeah, but I don't know what's going to happen. You're not supposed to know what's going to happen. We've just made it, yeah, but I can't see what that looks like. You're not supposed to. That's like expecting Vivi, when she learned to walk, to like know how to walk so that she does it perfectly the first time. But how does walking work? You just keep falling over. You just start and then suck at it, and then keep falling over and keep falling over and keep falling over until you don't fall over anymore. That's what we want to live. We just keep doing it and going for it and doing it wrong, and then doing it wrong again, and then feeling off, and then feeling good, and then doing it wrong again, and falling over, and feeling off, and doing it wrong again, and getting better and better and better at it. Because you experienced it. Knowing what it looks like is actually your way of saying, I won't do this. Right? I need to know what it looks like. That's why you guys are courageous, because you came to an event that really doesn't have bullet points or what's going to happen. Because I can't do it, and it sucks for everyone that works with me, because every question they ask me is answered with, we'll find out. Right? We'll see what happens. Are we going to go to a break? We'll find out. It depends on how quickly Diane understands. Looks like we're going a little later, right? We don't know, right? We'll find out what happens then. But that's how you live your life. I don't know what time I'll be hungry. I don't know what time you'll have to pee. We don't know. It just shows up with everything else. But if we could surrender the need to know everything, you will move into a new now. See, we're addicted to the future because we don't want the future to be like our past. But if we alchemize our past, we let go of our future. You get what I'm saying? So this is what we do. We grab our past all the time, constantly, and we're sitting here holding our past. I am this trauma. That's who's here today until we keep going. But that pattern says, I am this trauma. I'm scared to be this trauma, so you know what I'm going to grab onto? A future that guarantees I no longer feel this trauma. That trauma that's unhealed is why you have to constantly go in the future. Because I don't want to do it wrong. Because if I do it wrong, I'm shamed by my dad again when I'm 5 years old. I don't want to do it wrong because I'm re-yelled at. I don't want to do it wrong. But then we've created this identity that lives a life of not doing it wrong. But if you would instead let go and be now, it will go, I'm going to heal this past, and this future doesn't need to be a thing we grab onto anymore. And I'm just now. Feel that. I'm just now. And if you could allow this now to just heal your past, then you don't have to go into the future. And that's why this is so big when you just said, I don't need to, that can be a normal thing. That's the laws of nature. So this is a really big premise to understand. In the ego world, you have to know everything first. In the nature world, that's not even a thing. It just is going to unfold through you. And it's worth way more, and it's way more abundant, and it's way more free. And boy, when you start to get things like there's an infinite amount of money being printed and there's only one you, right? Versus this thing where we go, money is lacking and act like there's a ton of me, right? There's only one you, which means you're very valuable. But we go, well, money is the big deal. Why are you focused on money ever? Focus on what you are. And watch how abundant you turn out to be if you stop declaring money is bigger than me, or a relationship is bigger than me, or that, that person's opinion is bigger than me. You act like there's a billion yous and you're instantly replaceable. So the life will give you that. It will make you replaceable. Life will go, oh, you're stating there's a ton of yous based on how you're moving. So yeah, that person could leave you instantly because you think there's so many yous. Oh, yeah, the money will lack if you think money's bigger than you. If you think money's bigger than your soul, the universe will knock both out for you. If you get your souls bigger, then a lot will come to you, and you'll be in a place where you don't even care. Not care like you don't care, but like you'll not think that that's bigger than you. You'll be like, that's right that abundance came into my life. That's right that a relationship came into my life. That's the match to what I'm being frequency-wise, right? So one of the things I want to offer you to do is release the laws of the human ego that say that sentence, I'm supposed to know what's going to happen. Money is bigger than what I am. These are the laws of the human ego. The human ego says these things. I have to know what's going to happen. Money's bigger than me. What people think of me is a thing at all. For some reason, it's my job to hold what people think of me. That doesn't make any sense because what they think of you is what they think of themselves. There's nothing to do with you. Even if they're pointing at you and saying that has nothing to do with you. What people think of you is irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. Sometimes it can be feedback if it triggers a thing in you that you need to look at. I'm not saying that, but I am saying it's weird to think that if everyone has a different opinion of you, that it has anything to do with you. So we let go of that. That's the laws of the human ego. I'm here to construct and control what people think about me. That's insane. It's literally insane. It's totally normal on our planet, but it's literally insane. Laws of human ego are Snickers are a food. Right? Processed crap is a food. Laws of the human ego are I have to drink coffee. You're welcome to drink coffee, but that I have to have, and then you add the my to it, my morning coffee. You've now identified yourself as a giant habit. I have to have my morning coffee. If someone that has it more than once a day will say my over it. I have to have my nighttime wine. I gotta watch my Murder, She Wrote, or whatever. Now you're identified as this my that isn't you, that you're so much more infinite than that, and you're calling these things my, right? Stop it. Just right now, I want to dare you to switch from the laws of the ego to the laws of nature, the laws of the universe. And I have them written out on a board. So here are 12 principles that we're going to go through and we're going to talk about. These are principles that I'm working on, meditating on, and living on, because these principles, even though they were kind of arbitrarily said through different AEP calls and on our membership site, AEP, but here are 12 principles that have come through different calls, that are principles that I'm just starting to really grab onto and meditate on as if they're fact, because they are. These are actually much closer, in my opinion, to how nature works. And we're going to talk about each one of these, and then we're going to meditate on them, okay? So we're just going to do a couple minutes of each one of these. But this is a really big deal to me, these 12 principles. And these could be adjusted as we go. Every once in a while, a new one comes in. And at one point, it was 9 principles, and then we did another call, and we're like, that one's good too. And so this isn't like Kyle's commandments you need to live by. These are just like amazing things that feel like true universal points that I want to offer you, because these are counterintuitive to what the ego thinks is true. The ego thinks you're not loved. Isn't that crazy? The ego thinks you're not loved, and you're only loved when someone who doesn't approve of you finally does. Like, that's kind of in the area. Or when everyone sees you, or whatever. All these premises that the ego is wrong about. But let's go through the first one. The first one is you are loved. Let's just talk about that for a second. You are loved. That is a fact. And so much of your ego would have to die if you embrace that this is the truth. You are loved, you're created, you exist, you're supposed to be here. I want you to just take in the idea that you're loved. Not when your spouse gets your point, not when someone from your past finally apologizes, not when you're forgiven finally, whatever the hell you've decided is some roundabout way so the ego can stay alive. You're already loved even when you don't feel it, even when you're in your darkest moments. I want you to just be with the idea that you are loved. Feel that for a second. We will meditate on these shortly, but I want to just talk about each one. The second one is God hears you. We talked about this yesterday. In other words, it's heard. It's not more heard if someone's ego hears it, right? It's not when that person finally gets it, it's heard. Stop wanting other people to hear these things you know. This, first of all, will save you from a lot of arguments. If you're in an argument with a person or a partner or a spouse and you feel unheard, your problem is you think when they hear, it's heard. I want to undo that with you and go, what I'm trying to say is heard. You can still offer it, but that trigger and that energy that goes, I'm not heard until you heard it, I want to offer you, we're going to get rid of that and get that God hears you. It's heard. And I want you to join me in the idea that you're heard. Not when a giant audience sees it. Not when, right, a person gets you. You're directly heard. It's not more heard even if they hear you. But if you start to hear what you want them to hear, you'll be shocked at how heard you are on the external too. Because the universe will mirror what's going on, right? So if you feel unheard, it'll keep you feeling unheard to show you that you're in a lie, right? The third principle, you are love. You are loved. That's different than loved because it also comes from in to out, right? I am loved is coming in. You are love. And the ego will fight to prove that it's not. But if you just work on receiving and being the embodiment of you are love, that is really big. This one is huge. You are free. And I'm adding the word now because people think when I'm financially abundant, I'm free. When that I have the right relationship, I'm free. No, you're free now. See, when you think, if I have that, I'm free, then the universe has to keep going with what you're actually saying now, which is I'm not free. When I get that, I'm free. No, you're saying I'm not. The end, right? So we have to receive that you are free now, not when the thing you want happens, right? Now you're free. This is a big one too. You are safe. Now, obviously, if there's a gunman in your house or the house is on fire, do something. But most of the time, almost always, unless there's an actual emergency happening, you are safe. But the body and the ego thrives on that it's not safe. And you will have many moments of your life where you're sitting on a bed thinking of danger. You'll be sitting on a chair like, what if they, and what are you doing? You're safe. But you're scared to receive the safety of the room that you're in, the safety of the space that you're in. You are safe. But you're going to fight. You could see it with Jill last night, right? Did you see Jill? It took a minute, and she did a great job. It was amazing. But Jill yesterday was like, yeah, but this. And she was like finding where she's not safe, right? Despite the fact she was on stage and safe with me in the space, but it's like, yeah, but this thing happens and this thing and this thing. And it's like, I don't know who I am if I'm safe. I need to find where I'm not safe. So I want you to just join me in you are safe. You are worthy is 6. You are worthy, not because of accomplishments, not because of anything that you've decided you're worthy. It is so egoic for you to get in the way of God and decide if you're worthy. You think you're being humble. You're being, as Bashar would say, you're being very arrogant. To act like you aren't a part of God, to act like you aren't a part of the infinite source, that you get to decide if you're worthy or not. And you're also forgetting that the gift that you're trying to offer isn't even for you. Like you're sitting here wondering, am I worthy of singing? Am I worthy of offering this thing? Am I worthy of this? Am I worthy of offering my gift to the world or whatever? Am I worthy of healing this? Imagine if I was a waiter with your food and I walk up to you with the food and I go, I don't know if I should do this. And you're like, I'm starving. I'm like, I know, but what if you don't like it? You know, it's like, just like, I need to eat the food. I'm like, I know, but 9 years ago, I fed someone and, you know. And they're just like, can I eat? And you're just like, it's like you're just starving them, right? So the more you go up in frequency, the more you're naturally in service to others. But I don't mean that people-pleasing, hold up a heavy energy. The more you're in your higher vibration, the more you're in service to others just by being. So just your existence starts being in service to others. You don't have to switch to an egoic idea of service to others where you're telling yourself you're in service because you keep holding up something that's not moving. Like you're like, oh, look at me being in service. I'm holding, my husband isn't getting it, but I'm going to get up. No, hold on a second. You're actually in service to self because your fear is trying to shift someone. We're cutting that off for a second so you connect to you, and believe it or not, that's actually service to others because you're going up in frequency, and God can work through you much more. So you need to receive. It's a fact that you're worthy, and your ego doesn't get to get in the way of if you're worthy or not. Your ego has nothing to do with that. You do not get to decide if you're worthy or not. You don't get to override God in your worthiness. You don't get to override the universe in your worthiness. You're here and you exist. So when you come in and decide you're not worthy, you're just saying F you to the whole thing, and that your ego gets to control if you should exist or if you should offer your truth or you should live in your heart. It's true insanity for you to even get involved or in between your worthiness. You are a worthy person. That's a fact. You can't get out of it no matter what you did. Stop interrupting that. Can you receive that for a second? You're infinitely worthy, right? It's only ego that interrupts that. That's beautiful. Number 7 is you are abundant. This is a big premise. I want you to get this concept that every dollar you've ever made came from you. So get excited about you. Stop getting excited about money. Stop getting excited about the abundance is out there. And it's not only money. Bashar would tell you this too. He would talk about abundance is everything. He says abundance is the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. That's what their definition of abundance is. I want you to receive the idea that you are abundance. That's what you are. So the worthy ego gets in the way of deciding you're not, that you are the story of whatever you learned as a childhood, that we are whatever. We bond on that we're broke. We bond on that life isn't that easy. We bond on money doesn't grow on trees. We bond on even if you just get giddy or excited and your mom says something like, okay, calm down, let's keep our feet on the ground, let's not, all those kind of things. It's like, dude, you are so infinite. Join me in receiving that. You are abundant and you are abundance. The more you stop holding the egoic frequency, the more you stop holding on to the idea that you are this small separate self, the more you will see miracle after miracle after miracle. You will see synchronicities. You will start to understand that outside is helping you just as much as inside. You'll start to see assistance. You'll start to see signs everywhere. You'll start to see magic. It'll become a normal thing that miracles happen. I'll tell you about a big story later today, right after lunch. It's going to be big, but I want you to know that you are magic. I want you to take in That is a fact, and join me in that, even if you have no evidence of it. I promise you, you are. Too many of these events have become too synchronistic and surreal, and so many coincidences start happening. When we used to do 6-day meditation retreats, by day 4, the weirdest shit would happen at every one of them. They would say, that's the name of the thing, and I'd unzip my shirt, and that was the name on there. It'd be this crappy magician. This is what you just said? So many synchronicities happen, and you start to realize they're so much bigger than your small self that's trying to make all this stuff happen. Don't let your small self make this stuff happen, because magic is trying to happen for you, but you get the mirror of what you're seeing. So if you're seeing it's not that easy, and you're seeing life is really hard, and you're seeing it's not easy for him to say, but not me, you are fighting for the limitation world because you're familiar with it and know how to maneuver it. We want to move out of that, even if you're a master at the limitation world, and move into, I promise you, you are insanely magic. And I want you to receive it a normal thing. That event we're doing is called Miracles Normalized. I want you to think of miracles and magic as normal. That's what Course in Miracles says. Course in Miracles say, a miracle is a normal thing. We just have to atone. That's what we're doing here, meaning heal these things that are in the way of that, right? So a miracle is a normal thing. In fact, I realize Course in Miracles says this stuff very angrily. It sounds like someone kind of shaming me. Every paragraph is like, as I've already told you, miracles are normal. I'm just like, is Jesus screaming at me in this book? Am I in trouble? But you are magic. It's like 900 pages of this scolding anger that's like, kiss my ass, you're a magician. You're insanely freaky magic, you asshole. So we take in the idea that you are magic. And I want you to take this in too. This is a bigger thing. And it's not that big of a deal. In other words, when magic is a big deal, you're saying it's a bigger deal than me, right? So when you have a synchronistic moment happen, it's very easy to be like, I can't believe that happened. What are you really saying? I don't believe this, right? I just thought of the guy and then he called. Isn't that crazy? That's normal. That's how it works. Right? If you think it's this crazy thing you're not worthy of, then you're going to sabotage it and go, I don't know this world. It's scary because it's bigger than what I thought I was, but it's not scary once you say yes to it. It's a magical world. Join me in receiving that. This is a magical, magical world. Are you in on that? Are you open to that? It's so big. Number 9 has helped me a lot, and that's others forget that they are loved. If you feel triggered by someone, instead of taking everything they did to you personally and bringing the I in that they did it to me, we are going to surrender that and say this sentence, they just forgot they're loved. Not like from some better than place too, like, they just forgot they're loved, I remembered, or whatever. There's a total spiritual ego we can have too, but I just want to be in the celebration of often it wasn't a thing they did to you, or someone cuts you off and they flip you off or whatever. They just forget that they're loved. They forget that they're loved in that moment, or they're just feeling their own thing. I want you to undo the person that they did this to. I want you to undo they did it to me, though. Nope, in that moment, they forgot they're loved. This undoes your person that they did it to. This undoes your need for vengeance. This undoes your trigger. And it takes you to a higher frequency because you can even send love to the people that did something to you. That's not allowing it to happen again. That's taking you to a frequency that divinely protects you from it happening again. For you to stop being in constant resistance to what happened to you and move to a frequency of the truth of what you are, you change the whole dynamic. Your heart's open. That stuff won't happen to you nearly as much. So many magical things will happen. So if we move to the frequency of others forget that they are loved, you start to not take things so personally. And you can say it to yourself. You don't need to even tell them. I get you just forgot you were loved. Like, you don't need to be a dick. We just say others forget they're loved and we bring love to that. Number 10 is big on all areas. It's always passing. Know that the problem, the pain you're in, the offness is 100% passing. Mary and I created a thing a while ago called the 24-hour rule, which is where I'm feeling off and we go, give it 24 hours. That's it. It can't last. It's passing. And then it always gets the next day and it's different. It might have some similar tones or it might totally be gone, but everything's different because it's always passing. But it's always passing also works in the realm of love. It's always passing works with everything. For instance, this is a crazy concept that makes me feel like I can love more. My daughter and I are temporary. This infinite magical being, but my time with her in this physical body and hers is temporary. That makes me emotional right now, to know at one point I and Vivi won't even be a memory on this planet, right? At one point we won't be, at least as the exact form that we're in. Boy, does that make me love her more. See, the ego goes, I'm scared to love something because I could lose it. The soul goes, I'm going to love something because I can lose it. Did you catch that? I'm going to love fully. Like knowing that this event is temporary makes me fully here with you and really excited about it versus acting like this is forever and I better do it right. Oh my God, I'm so grateful for this moment because exactly how it is will never happen exactly like this again, right? So I can feel so much more love for you and be so much more freer because I know all of this is temporary, which also brings in another aspect of, in a way that's awesome, it also all doesn't matter, right? So the thing that you think is really big is the thing you think matters, but it's all passing. So in this time, we're in a frequency that's always passing, and we bring love to it, we bring compassion to it, it's always passing, right? I want you to just really receive that. Even the things that are perfect are passing. Because there's ways that our ego goes, this thing could happen that's positive, or this thing could happen that's negative. And then I always go, and then what happens the day after? It never thinks of that. Like, that person could leave me. And then what's the next day? I'll work on it. Like, I'll heal. I'll start the process of letting go, right? Like this idea that that end point is like, then that'll happen, and that could be the worst thing. And then what's the next day? And whatever your biggest fear is, okay, then all the money goes. Then they charge you too much. Then they, whatever, rob you. What's the next day? Right? Always. There's still going to be a next day, right? But the ego goes, that's the end point. That's the end when that happens. But there's always a next day. But it also does that in the positive. The ego goes, and then that'll happen, and then I'll be number one, and I'll be the best. Then I'll be totally in love. And then you go, what's the next day? Right? I don't know. We'll get in a fight. Then I'll finally be free. What's the next day? What's the next day? There's always more, right? So we need to stop making a point that's high or a point that's low the end of your life, because there's still an ongoing thing. And I'd rather connect to the infinite more than the circumstances. You feel that? We'd rather connect to the infinite more than just the circumstances, the answer to my life, good or bad. Everything's perfect is 11. Can you be with that? When I came out, I said, what are you feeling? Some people were saying positive things, a couple negative things, and I'm like, perfect. I'm feeling furious, perfect. I'm feeling off, I'm feeling anxiety, perfect. Doesn't it take some tension down to just bring that truth in? That's perfect, you feel that. Every person that sat here, they'd say something that's off. I'm like, hell yeah, right? I feel like I'm unloved. Awesome. That's so good, because it's growth, because the illusion of something is coming to light. So everything's perfect is a fact. You are light. I love picturing that we're just visiting this planet from a place of light, right? That I'm just here, that I'm light, borrowing this body, and I'm on this planet, and I am light, just visiting. I want you to picture that same thing, like if you go on a vacation and you have like 7 days there. Let's say an issue comes up on the vacation on like day 5, right? Like the Airbnb isn't working, or you got in a fight with a neighbor, or there's someone in that town you don't like. Well, you know that you're just visiting, right? You're just light that's visiting. So you have this thing when you're on vacation where you can go, well, you know what? In a couple days, this will be gone. I want you to have that here, right? That issue, you're just chilling on the planet, you're just visiting it, and you are light. So we're moving into that infinite space, so you don't have to personalize things so much, because at one point you won't be here, right? And that's not a passive thing. That doesn't mean don't deal with things or whatever, but bring some light into it, a higher frequency that stops just saying to yourself, like, this issue is the truth forever. I want you to bring that light you in that just goes, this is what it is. Deal with it at the level that you need to. But also notice how many things, I'm going to ask you, what percentage of things do you think that you've held on to that you didn't need to? 99, right? Like really, like how much stuff do you think you're holding on to that has nothing to do with you? If you're moving in the laws of the egoic universe, you're supposed to be a space holder for the heaviest person that never changes. If you're moving in the egoic laws of the universe, you're supposed to be stressed. The weird way that humans have decided that it is the most triggered one should bring the connected one down to them, right? I'm feeling off, you need to feel shitty with me. Versus going, you're the present one, I'm off, I need to come up to you. Do you feel the difference? Oh, you're holding the space, you're in the pocket right now, you're connected to source, I'm off. Why don't I hear where you are and bring my pain to you and open up? Because the one that's off shouldn't be bringing the high one down. That's the laws of the ego, right? The ego goes, you feel like shit with me. We need to all suffer collectively, right? And this is often what happens where empaths who are more light, they're more malleable. So they very often go to the lower frequency because they're more familiar with that. And the person that feels off usually has never felt the higher frequency. So they can't go up. They're more stuck in the mud. So very often, when a truly open-hearted vibration connects to a stuck in the mud vibration, they go down to it because the stuck in the mud won't come up. It would be death to what they think they are for it to come up. So if you get you are light, you can stop picking up everyone else's shit because you got to realize, like something we said out loud yesterday, the universe is making every person deal directly with their stuff. So you might have a thing in your heart that says, I'm here to hold everyone up. And that's in the way of the universe picking you up. And that's part of your karmactic energy, to let go of whatever truly isn't you so that you become a butterfly on this planet and normalize butterflying more than everyone's. The heaviest, stuckest energy wins, that I have to cut my wings and become a caterpillar. I have watched too many people I know that are so butterflies get sick and in many cases die because they stay the lower frequency while they have some sort of awareness that they're ignoring that they're higher energy. You get what I'm saying? I've seen too many people, I know too many people, including my mother, that was my mom when I was born. I saw her the first 7 years of my life. She was just an artist. She was just art. My mom was a musician. My mom could paint. If you watch AEP, there's a painting right behind me. My mom did that. My mom's brother is a Grammy-nominated jazz musician. She's just an artist. And then as time went on, I feel that my mom dated people that were very stagnant because for her, they were safe, right? They were safe. She wasn't challenged into her soul with those people. And I'm not knocking those people. They're where they are. But I want to point out to you, you can't help what you know. You can't help the magic that you see. And that's a world that no one has anyone saying that to. The way we can say you can't help the gender you are, the race you are, we have those things that, you shouldn't be judged for that. You also can't help what you know and believe is true. But that's the most unseen world and not held world of people that have had awakenings and know there's more. But they feel instead that their awakening is this rare small thing, so they should just be apologetic for themselves. So they have some kind of amazing moment or revelation or calling, and then they ask a tone-deaf person in their life if what they should do, and that person out of fear or their stagnancy will tell them to not do it. And then you start to watch the butterflies of the world clip their wings and shrink into the lowest vibration they can find. And I watch them get sick quicker. And the one that was already stagnant lives forever because they don't have the awareness that there's anything wrong. You get what I'm saying? So my mom died at 69 years old. And I'm not creating blame on the person or anything, but quite a bit of things that showed up in his life died. His wife before him, his daughter had died, his dog died. I would get in that house for 2 days and I would get sick every single time. And I would be like, I have to, and I would ask my mom, do you want to go out to dinner? And she'd go, he doesn't want to. So she'd stop doing what she wanted. Do you want to go on a trip? He doesn't want to. So she started tethering herself. CNN on 12 hours a day, right? Just the old life in that house, dust everywhere, right? And my mom got cancer and then fixed that and then got dementia and died 6 weeks before Vivi was born. And so I have this thing where I am like, I am here to free you, Mom. You don't have to have that. And it didn't work with her, but luckily I mastered opening people up. So you're just my mom, freeing yourself from the stagnant energies, right, of what no longer serves you. Because to me, I've seen too many artistic, amazing, magical people get locked into the lowest vibration they can find because it has some assemblancy of familiarity to them. And I'm like, would you please fly for my daughter? Would you please fly for kids in the future? Would you please let go of the energies that won't go with you and just trust that on the other side of it is miracles and magic? Would you stop convincing someone they can be something? Would you stop just doing that thing and just tap into your flying? Because if you do that, we'll make a world where butterflying is more normal than caterpilling. And if that happens, there will be an insane shift, and I believe that's what's coming in the next year. I think it's happening very quickly now. I really do. And I also believe, this is something really crazy, I believe that the world mirrors you. I believe more and more as I do this work, when I leap, all of a sudden everyone around me is leaping. Have you noticed that? When you cry out something and have a revelation, the next day everyone around you is releasing. Have you ever noticed that? What if the whole thing mirrors you? And I don't mean that narcissistically. I mean, what if this thing is like a simulator, and when you finally have the courage to follow your heart and let go of what doesn't align with you, you see the world doing the same thing much quicker. It starts to be a normal thing, and then you start to move in the frequency of your leap and your power and your freedom. And then you start to see that's normal. If you're here and you're in day 2, you are for sure a butterfly. There's no way you could make it through this shit. You would have been out in the middle of day 1, right? But you're here because this is like fuel for something. What's it fuel for? What you've tapped into. I'm talking from the same place that you have opened and you can't help that's opened. You can't help it. So I watched my mom, and I watched a friend of mine's mom, and I watched other people that I know that were artists that shrunk themselves, but they have the curse of the awareness that there's more trying to happen. So they get sick much quicker and they die earlier. Right? And I'm telling you, if you grab onto You Are Light, you start partnering with this God thing, and you stop just making that person so you can keep your pattern of your childhood alive, your partner. It's not only that. Your truth needs to be your partner, and then you will find a partner that's in their truth. And boy, does that get fun. Because then you have this different element of 1 + 1 = infinity versus 1/2 + 1/2 = 1/4. Do you get what I'm saying? 1 whole + 1 whole = infinity. You guys just take turns. That's what I'm in right now. A relationship that's just like, we just wake up, one hand is on the other one's heart. Tell me what you're feeling. It's just like release, tears, then they go. Next day, we literally say now, I guess it's my day. Right? I freed this thing, then the next day she's going through it. And you'll meet her later today, by the way. But she'll be going through it too, right? And so we just found that, the number one thing we both have is a desire to grow, like to find our soul. I want you to notice that. That's the number one goal. Do they want to shift too? So that's a factor for me. If the people around me aren't doing their own work, it's not going to work for me. If they're not doing their own inner work, if they're not meditating, I can't convince them to start doing that. If they aren't following their soul and going into the infinite, I can't convince them to do that. I won't pick that up anymore. I just let go of it. So, right? You get that? So that's a really good prerequisite, I find, take whatever you want from this, to find who you want to bring into your life, especially a partner. Are they interested in doing the work too? Or am I just to them some crazy airy-fairy person that doesn't know what they're doing and I'm not realistic and I need to do their thing? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do just a couple minutes on each one of these principles, and you're not just going to meditate on the principle. I want you to think of if there's something maybe that comes up that you can let go of. In other words, if I'm loved, then I don't need to hold on to that person's opinion. Do you get what I'm saying? Or if I'm abundant, I can stop grabbing onto the worrying about money, that I'm going to work on me, right? So when you're going through these, I'm free now. Okay, I want you to meditate on, is there some concept that's anti one of these concepts that you're thriving off of and you would love to just let go of now, right? So this is big. We're just going to do 2 minutes for each principle, but this is a big meditation. These are really, really big.